Good morning, friends, and welcome to day 1. If you haven't listened to the intro podcast, I recommend that you do so. It will help you understand why we're here on this platform doing this thing. I'm Christine, and I'm ready to dive right in. So today's verse is from Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. So today's verse really spoke to me because I think we're so often called to do some really hard things that honestly make no sense to us. Things that we aren't prepared for, things we don't think we can do, and it can be really hard to trust when all we see are our earthly strengths and weaknesses. So I specifically chose this verse today as our first because it really relates, well, honestly to me, and so much of what I'm doing with this podcast and what we're coming together to do every day. You know, I'm not someone who can cite scripture. I don't have a church, as I've not found a church community that really welcomed my child into their home. But I feel the need to do this thing. I feel the need to come to you every day and talk to you about scripture and how it relates to our lives. And honestly, I don't even really know how to do that. But I feel that this goal was planted in my heart. So I'm stepping out in faith, and I'm just going with what I feel is right and asking for God's guidance. See, so often I think as humans, we rely on what we actually know, and we rely on what we believe that we can or we can't do. But I also believe that we are called by a much higher power to do things that we're not yet prepared for. One of my favorite quotes is this: God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And I honestly can't think of a better example of this quote than parents of children with special needs. You know, we're going about life, we're young. Think back to those days. You were getting married, you were planning to have all the babies, you know, buying all the things, and friends are sharing the best pacifier to buy and the perfect swing and crib, and there's books and articles, and you're learning the tricks to parenting, and then boom, the ceiling explodes, and all of a sudden you have to learn an entire new vocabulary, and you have to learn it stat. Like, you don't get to go through this for a couple years and plan for it, right? Like, parents of children with typical needs, I get ya, and I love you and think you're amazing, but you know, you've been around kids your whole life, so when it comes to your own, you've kind of had a little practice. But when you have a child with disabilities, it's a whole new ball game, and one that you're totally not prepared for. You know, suddenly you need to learn about AFOs and trachs and G-tubes and seizures and laws and medicine and service plans and rights and, you know, whatever new vocabulary came with your child. And my goodness, this isn't easy. So I'll say it again. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. There are days that I throw my hands up and fall to my knees and ask why. I wasn't prepared for this. Why my child? I was a good mom. I did all of the things I was supposed to do and none of the things that I wasn't. But here I am. And I don't know if I'm making the right decisions. You know, sometimes I picture God up high looking down with his head in his hands, shaking his head in bewilderment. And then some booming voice is saying, "What are you doing? That's an awful decision. That's not what I wanted you to do." But I make the decisions I make with thought and prayer, and I just hope that they're the right ones. Isn't that what we do as parents every single day? We just hope we're not screwing things up too bad. And man, I hope you're listening to this and agreeing with me, because I really don't want to be alone in that feeling. Do you sometimes feel the same way? You know, I rest a bit knowing that I'm not alone. And when I say I'm not alone, I'm grateful to have a community, but it's not really what I'm talking about. I rest knowing that God is guiding my steps because I know that I couldn't do this alone. So today, moms, dads, I want you to remember that when things are hard, when a problem drops in your lap that you don't know how to handle, when an idea pops into your head out of the blue that you don't know how to accomplish, or when you see those synchronistic moments show themselves again and again, that's God. God is there. He's waiting for you to turn to Him and seek His guidance. So have faith and take a leap. Try some of those hard things. You're doing it already every day. Breathe easy and know that God is holding you up and helping you along this journey. You just need to lean to Him for that guidance and be open to hearing His next steps. I don't always understand this journey. And in fact, frankly, I often don't understand this journey. But what I've come to know is that I'm here on this path for a reason. This journey that we're on has a purpose. And I am not alone. My son, my daughter, my family, they are not alone. So parents, my prayer for you today is that you may feel peace in leaning toward God for guidance, that you will bring your joys and your challenges to Him. I pray that you express your gratitude for the beautiful gifts in your life, and I pray that your heart and mind will be open to receiving His messages. So go in faith, friends, and until tomorrow, may blessings flow your way.